It was Halloween night, and my buddies had this genius idea to venture into the creepy woods on the outskirts of town. Why? Well, for the thrill, of course. Armed with our flashlights and more bravado than sense, we plunged into the pitch-black forest. No moon in sight, just a sea of trees casting spooky, elongated shadows. The rustling leaves and distant hooting owls created a background track that would make anyone's skin crawl. The deeper we went, the more the chill in the air seemed like a not-so-subtle warning. After what felt like an eternity, we found a clearing and set up a campfire, hoping the flames would banish our growing unease. We took turns sharing the spookiest ghost stories we could conjure up, each tale scarier than the last. I admit, I may have added a bit too much drama to mine. Just when the tension peaked, a gust of bone-chilling wind extinguished the campfire like it was a birthday candle. Panic hit us as the creepy laughter started echoing through the trees, getting louder with each breath. My flashlight, naturally, decided to flicker at that exact moment, leaving me in the dark. A thick fog rolled in, making it impossible to see beyond my own nose. The laughter, now eerie and persistent, was coming from every direction. I was alone, separated from my friends by an impenetrable mist. Out of the fog, a shadowy figure emerged, cloaked in tattered rags. Its creepy, hollow eyes seemed to pierce right through me as it reached out a bony hand. I screamed, nearly losing my voice, and well, you get the picture. But surprise instead of harm, the figure whispered, "You should have stayed inside tonight. It's not safe out here." It had a voice straight from a horror movie, and it sent shivers down my spine. Slowly, it backed away into the darkness, dissolving into the fog. I was left there trembling, but it turns out that warning was meant to save me. I gathered my wits and fumbled around to find my friends, and together, we made our way back to civilization, the echoes of that eerie laughter lingering in our ears. On Halloween night, you learn that the line between the living and the dead is thinner than you'd ever believe. So, we stumbled our way back to safety, our hearts still pounding. The adrenaline was wearing off, but the memory of that encounter was etched in our minds. We couldn't shake the feeling that we'd glimpsed something beyond the ordinary. As we made our way through the woods, the eerie laughter seemed to linger in the distance, a constant reminder that this Halloween night had turned into something far more intense than we'd bargained for. We couldn't help but wonder who or what that spectral figure had been. Back in the comfort of our homes, we huddled together to piece together the events of the night. We shared nervous laughs and agreed that maybe next year we'd stick to safer Halloween traditions, like carving pumpkins or binge-watching scary movies. That Halloween adventure had left us with a tale to tell, a spooky memory that would undoubtedly be retold around campfires and during late-night sleepovers for years to come. It had shown us that sometimes the most unexpected and chilling encounters happen when you least expect them, especially on the spookiest night of the year. In our little village, Halloween wasn't just a pumpkin spice latte and a costume party kind of deal. Nah, it was more like an old-school, back-to-the-roots shindig. You see, we believed that on this particular night, the living and the dearly departed had a sort of meet and greet opportunity. So we got together in the heart of that dark, mysterious forest, as we always did, the chosen spot. A gnarly old oak tree, older than your grandma's grandma. We lit a bunch of candles and started chanting. Felt like a scene from a cult movie, but it was our tradition. The excitement in the air was electric, and it seemed like even the elements were in on it. Just when things got really intense, a gust of wind crashed the party, blowing out every darn candle. The darkness swallowed us whole, and creepy whispers seemed to come from the very ground we were standing on. Shadows danced like they were auditioning for Dancing with the Stars, and let me tell you, it was pretty eerie. From out of nowhere, a spooky figure emerged, wearing a tattered robe and a face hidden in the shadows. It moved like it had been practicing some wicked dance moves for centuries. I was the brave one, or the crazy one, so I decided to step forward and have a chat with this mysterious guest. The figure extended its bony hand, and in a voice that could have chilled a polar bear, it said, "I've been the guardian of your village for ages, keeping things in check. But tonight, you've got to make a call." In its hands, it revealed two ancient keys, one glowing like your grandma's antique lamp, and the other as dark as the night itself. The weight of the decision was heavy, let me tell you. It was a call that could shape our village's destiny for ages. We didn't overthink it. We just grabbed the ominous dark key. The figure gave a nod of approval and disappeared in a gust of wind and shadows. We headed back to our homes, and the whole thing left us feeling like we'd been in a scene from a classic ghost story. We knew our ancestors would keep their watchful eye on us, and those ancient customs would carry on. Our village had made its choice, and from that Halloween onwards, it would be a night of reverence for the spirits of the past, a timeless link between the living and the departed. The villagers had, in their own way, become the guardians of a bond that stretched across the boundaries of life and death. As we strolled back to our humble abodes, our heads were spinning, and the events of the evening were etched in our minds. We knew that our ancestors would continue their silent vigil, and that the ancient customs would roll on. Our village had drawn a line in the sand on that Halloween night, making sure that the balance between the living and the dead was maintained. From then on, Halloween wouldn't be just another date on the calendar. It would be a night filled with respect for the spirits of the past. We told and retold the tale of that Halloween night, with some embellishments here and there, of course. We'd gather around campfires, sipping cocoa, and share the story with wide-eyed kids who couldn't get enough of the spooky stuff. And there, under the starry sky and the soft glow of a campfire, the story would come to life. The forest, the dark figure, the keys, they'd all get bigger and spookier with each telling. We'd chuckle and add a dramatic pause for good measure, making sure to keep the Halloween spirit alive. In our village, Halloween was more than just a night of tricks and treats. It was a night where the spirits of the past mingled with the living, and where our traditions were kept alive, like the glow of a well-tended campfire on a chilly October night. It was a crisp October evening, and as the winds whispered through the trees and the pale moon cast long, eerie shadows, my girlfriend, Sarah, and I decided to take a shortcut through the old, decrepit mansion that loomed at the edge of our small town. The legends and rumors we'd grown up with made it the perfect setting for a Halloween adventure. The moment we stepped across the mansion's threshold, the temperature seemed to plummet. Our flashlights struggled to pierce the inky darkness that clung to the walls like a thick fog. The air was oppressively still, as though the very walls were holding their breath, waiting for something to happen. Our footsteps echoed through the empty, decaying halls, and Sarah clung to my arm, her nails digging into my skin. The creaking of the ancient floorboards beneath us intensified the sense of dread that was beginning to settle over us. The mansion exuded an eerie, unsettling energy that sent shivers down our spines. We pressed forward, drawn deeper into the mansion by a faint, whispering voice that seemed to emanate from the very walls themselves. It was as if the mansion was a living, breathing entity, and it wanted us to unravel its secrets. We exchanged nervous glances but continued our journey into the unknown. Then, as if guided by an unseen hand, we found ourselves standing before a room that stood out from the rest. The walls were adorned with faded, cryptic symbols, and in the center of the room, an old, dust-covered mirror loomed ominously. Sarah and I stared into the mirror, and for a brief moment, it reflected a vision of the mansion in its former grand glory. But then, the reflection shifted. The room around us transformed, and we found ourselves transported to a different time. The mansion came to life, filled with revelers dressed in elaborate period costumes, swirling and twirling to the haunting melody of a bygone era. As we stood there in disbelief, the spectral figures turned to us, their faces a ghastly blend of delight and torment. They beckoned to us, their spectral hands reaching out as if to invite us to join their spectral dance. A shiver of fear coursed through us, but we couldn't break free from the mirror's enchanting spell. Desperate to escape the nightmarish vision, we clutched each other's hands and made a daring decision. With trembling resolve, we smashed the mirror, its shards scattering across the room. As the mirror shattered, the room reverted to its dilapidated state, and the spectral dancers vanished into the void. Gasping for breath and hearts pounding, we realized we had narrowly averted a fate that seemed to await anyone lured into the mansion's supernatural dance. We raced out of the mansion, not looking back, leaving the haunted and enigmatic place behind. That night, as we walked away from the mansion, we couldn't help but feel that we had brushed against something beyond the realm of our understanding. On a moonless Halloween night, Emily, my girlfriend, and I embarked on a journey into the depths of a mysterious, dark forest, following the dim glow of distant lanterns. We had joined a small group of adventurous friends, all seeking a unique haunted forest experience. As we ventured deeper into the woods, an eerie tension settled in the air. The gnarled trees cast haunting silhouettes, and the distant calls of nocturnal creatures added to the unsettling ambience. The path we followed was lined with twisted branches that seemed to beckon us further into the unknown. Emily clung to my arm, her grip tightening with each step, her wide-eyed gaze reflecting her growing unease. I tried to appear brave, but I could feel my own apprehension mounting. The lanterns ahead swung ominously, casting eerie, swaying shadows on the uneven ground. Our guide, a mysterious figure cloaked in a hooded robe, led us deeper into the heart of the forest. Their words were cryptic and hushed as they spun tales of restless spirits and unsolved mysteries that had haunted these woods for centuries. With each chilling story, the night seemed to press in on us, the forest enveloping us like a shroud of darkness. Our guide abruptly halted at a decrepit, ancient tree adorned with sinister symbols, declaring it the point where the spirits of the forest were most active. We were instructed to stand in a circle and summon these spirits with a chant. We hesitated, apprehensive about what we were about to invoke, but the guide's tone grew increasingly urgent, and we found ourselves compelled to comply. We joined hands and, trembling, began the chant. The forest seemed to hold its breath, and a heavy silence descended. Then, without warning, the lanterns extinguished, plunging us into complete darkness. Fear set in as we felt a presence closing in around us. A chilling wind whispered through the trees, and the voices of spirits, whispers and faint cries, seemed to emanate from all directions. Our grip on each other tightened as we stood paralyzed in the pitch-black void. Out of the blackness, a haunting, ghostly laughter began to echo around us, growing louder and more unhinged. It enveloped us, and we felt an unseen presence moving among us, chilling fingers brushing against our skin. Suddenly, the lanterns blazed back to life, revealing our surroundings. However, the guide had vanished, replaced by a spectral figure with hollow, lifeless eyes. Emily and I exchanged horrified glances as the figure reached out with a skeletal hand. The spectral figure's voice was a mournful lament as it whispered, "You have summoned us from the depths of the forest, and now you must join us. You are forever bound to this place." In that moment, the lanterns flickered and extinguished once more. When they flickered back to life, the spectral figure had vanished, leaving us alone in the eerie forest. Holding each other close, we navigated our way out of the woods, our hearts racing, haunted by the lingering laughter of the spirits. We had escaped with our lives, but we couldn't shake the feeling that the forest's enigmatic spirits still lingered in the shadows, ready to claim those who dared to summon them on Halloween night.